All right, it gives me always pleasure to introduce this speaker because, you know, she's so joyful and I really appreciate that. But she's had a career as a award-winning author, national speaker, and a digital college professor as a digital instructional expert. She is now in her Renaissance years where she just follows her spirit's guidance and is doing whatever she's called to do. And part of that is becoming a licensed Unity teacher, and that's kind of what feeds her soul these days. And she's going to tell us about the alchemy of the new year. It's Dr. Rita Conrad. Come on up, Rita.
Now, I will never get tired of how services fall together, how music, how inspiration, how daily work, how just all kind of folds like into a lovely deck of cards and unfolds before us. So I'm grateful for everything that has been said and done thus far. I'd say Happy New Year, but aren't we a little tired of saying Happy New Year? Every time you say it, it's like, is it really Happy New Year? I don't know. But if Christmas can be called the most wonderful time of the year, certainly New Year's might be called the most reflective time of the year. Because it seems to be the time when the largest group of people get together and analyze their lives. They reassess, am I in the right place? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I following my dreams? Am I as healthy as I've wanted to be? And if there is a no to any of those questions, perhaps regrets settle in, or the desire to return to our dreams emerge, and plans for action take root. We set intentions. Perhaps you're not one to look back. You're firmly planted in the present, as we're all told to be in the now. Last weekend, I heard a great song. I think it's a great alternative to Auld Lang Syne about not being so concerned with the past, and it's called Don't Look in the Rearview Mirror, because there ain't nothing back there to see. Sounds like a good North Carolina song. For me, I've always enjoyed looking back, for the most part, because I can see all the stepping stones of life. I can see all the twists and turns, all the people and circumstances that have carried me to this point. And even the people and circumstances that were detours or seemingly halting my journey were also part of life's motion forward. When I look back, I see the signs that led to this moment, and I remember to continue to live with the awareness and appreciation for all those signs, for all those experiences in the now that will propel me forward, because life always moves forward, expanding in endless possibilities. In the well-known book, as of 2023, this book has sold 65 million copies. And it's one of those books that nobody wanted to publish. In 1993, Paulo Coelho wrote The Alchemist. And I'm sure many of you have read it. I have to admit, this is the first time I did. And I was led to it. It was a stepping stone. It was a sign. But in this, he tells the story about recognizing the signs that move each one of us forward on our life path. It's about overcoming obstacles that we never thought we would overcome. At one point, the boy has to turn himself into the wind and says, I don't know how to turn myself into the wind, but does it, finds a way to do it. It's about continuing to believe in our dreams when it looks most as if they're just stupid musings. I should give up that dream. It's just a stupid dream. But most of all, it's about the alchemy, that transformation that occurs as we go through and being fully engaged in life, in our dreams. In the author's note at the beginning of the book, Paulo said he's often asked why this book is such a great success. And he says, I haven't the faintest idea. Because, he says, maybe it's because all I know is that, like Santiago, the shepherd boy, who's the main character of the book, we all need to be aware of our personal calling. Coelho refers to our calling and our life path to it as our legend. We are living legends. Isn't that nice to know? He writes, whenever we do something that fills us with enthusiasm, we are following our legend. Our passion, or as Charles Fillmore referred to it, our zeal, is that big flashing sign on our path. We are on our path. And that the alchemy for our transformation is underway. But Coelho warns there are 4 obstacles to us having the courage to confront our dreams. And as I share each of these obstacles, I'm also going to give you an example from a recent real life demonstration of overcoming these obstacles. And I bet all of you Californians probably know it well. I was living in the East when this happened, so it was just like I don't know what happened. I don't know why I missed this event, but you all will probably resonate with it. The first obstacle is that we are told from childhood that everything we want to do is impossible. And we're told this over and over and over again until so much so that our beliefs just start to bury our dreams. That's what stops us. So the example I want to share with you is Jose Hernandez, who was a young child of a migrant farm worker family who loved school and particularly math and science and had always wondered, what are the stars for? When his teacher gave him the assignment, what I want to be when I grow up, Jose, who didn't speak English yet, drew a picture of himself in a spaceship. But they were a migrant farm worker family, and even at 10, Jose worked in the fields. So going into space seemed a very far-fetched dream, 1,000,000 miles away. Even his father at one point told him to look to the fields because that was his future. But his teacher, Miss Young, saw in him his true essence. And she leaned down to him one day as he was yet leaving town to go to the next field to pick again. And she said, "You are a force of nature. Nothing can stop you. Remember that." And evidently, Jose took that to heart because he finished his bachelor's degree and his master's degree in electrical engineering, applying to NASA and starting his first job as an engineer at the prestigious Lawrence Livermore Lab. But even with all he had accomplished, there are those dream-killing lurkers always there. His first day on the job, he was mistaken for the new janitor and handed all the keys to the building and told that the men's bathroom on the 3rd floor needed toilet paper. And could he please go do that? His first engineering work assignment was to make 2 copies of each of the pages of the voluminous notes surrounding the latest project the team was working on. He was making copies of the project and not being a part of it. And then he was to file them in the basement. And he was told by a colleague who delivered a NASA rejection letter to him, that's a waste of time. But Jose put all that Xeroxing time to good use. He read the project notes as he was Xeroxing them and discovered a major flaw in the project that would impact the success of the project. It was going to give them false readings of what was happening. And after being rebuffed by his supervisor, like, "You're the new guy, you can't possibly know what all these other geniuses at Lawrence Livermore know," he used the building keys that he had to let himself into the computer lab so that he could reprogram. And when his supervisor and the team discovered him, he was able to explain the problem and give him the solution at the same time. And after that point, he led team meetings. And he gave the building keys back to the receptionist. The second obstacle is love. We're afraid of hurting those around us with our dreams by abandoning everything in order to pursue those dreams. And we don't realize that those who really love us are prepared to accompany us on our journey and want us to pursue our path because it enriches everything, their lives, our lives, and heaven only knows the world's lives as we pursue our dreams. So Jose met and married the love of his life, Adela, and they began their family. And one night, Jose came home from work and he found Adela sitting at the dining room table with a pile of papers and an empty box. And she asks, Jose, what is this? And he kind of mumbles, it's just this stupid dream I have. I've been applying to NASA. Remember I told you I wanted to go into space when we were dating and you laughed, but I was serious. But it's never going to happen. And she says, well, I think this is a little more than a dream, Jose, because you've applied every year for the past 6 years and been rejected 6 times. So tell me what these people have who make it into the program have that you don't. She said, other than the fact that they're white. And he tells her that many of them have PhDs, they have hundreds of hours as pilots, as divers, they run marathons, and they speak foreign languages like Chinese and Russian. And she says, well, we have savings. You do what you have to do. And she supported him in his dream, even though it meant major upheaval and sacrifice for their family over the years. She basically held everything together while he went off to do this. But that was love. That was overcoming the obstacle of love. The third obstacle is the fear of the defeats we meet on the path. And Coelho writes, we who fight for our dreams suffer far more when it doesn't work out because we can't fall back on that old excuse, oh well, I didn't really want it anyway. We do want it and know that we have staked everything on it and that the path of the personal calling is no easier than any other path, except that our whole heart is in this journey. Then we warriors of light must be prepared to have patience in difficult times and to know that the universe is conspiring in our favor, even though we may not understand that in the moment. So Jose spends years attaining all those skills he listed to Adela. And he keeps applying to NASA every single year and keeps getting a letter that begins, we regret to inform you. Just as their 5th child is about to be born, Jose has the opportunity to go to Russia for 6 months, and his wife says go. He takes that opportunity and he leaves. And while he is there, after giving birth to the 5th child, Adela says to him not to mail in his application that year. He should deliver it in person, she says. And he goes. When he delivers his application in person to the head of the program, the NASA program, he's asked, well, of course the guy knows him because he's seen his application now for years. He goes, oh, you're Jose Hernandez. Like, oh no, I never thought I'd see you in person. And now I have to deal with this, that I'm going to tell you you're still rejected. So he says, okay, fine. Because Jose said, this is my best application yet. I know I've nailed it. I've got it. And the guy says, okay, well, what's changed? And Jose replies, well, sir, for the last 10 years, everything I've done, every decision I've made has been done with this program in mind. I'm a certified diver. I have hundreds of hours as a pilot. I just finished the San Francisco Marathon, and I speak Russian. I just went to this special program, and I speak Russian. and sir, you said this was my 11th, but this is my 12th application, sir. And if you reject me, I assure you, I will be here next year standing right before you with another application, and no matter what it takes, I will be here. And Jose joined NASA in 2001. That did it. The final obstacle occurs when what we always wanted is right before us, waiting for us. And it is, in Coelho's words, the fear of realizing the dream for which we have been fighting for all our lives. And he ends his author notes with this. Oscar Wilde said, "Each man kills the thing he loves," and it's true. The mere possibility of getting what we want fills the soul of the ordinary person with guilt. We look around at all those who have failed to get what they want and feel that we don't deserve to get what we want either. We forget about all the obstacles we overcame, all the suffering we endured, all the things we had to give up in order to get this far. And I've known a lot of people who, when their personal calling was within their grasp, went on to commit a series of stupid mistakes and never reached their goal when it was only a step away. This is the most dangerous of the obstacles because it has a kind of saintly aura about it, renouncing joy and conquest. But if you believe yourself worthy of the thing you fought so hard to get, then you become an instrument of God. You help the soul of the world, and you understand why you are here. In 2003, shortly after joining NASA, Jose questioned his decision about going to space after his colleagues and good friends were killed in the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. Was that a sign for him to stop? He had a family. I mean, he was doing something dangerous. It finally dawned on him. But was that a sign for him to stop, he wondered. And around that same time, he lost his best friend and cousin, Beto, to a shooting in Stockton. And Beto, who still worked in the fields at that point in time, had always been so proud of Jose. He was so proud of him. He was not jealous one little bit or begrudged him at all what he had. He was so proud of him being an engineer and about his dream of going into space. So with Beto in mind, Jose stayed. And over 8 years, he went through a grueling training program. And at any point, if he had failed an exercise, like being underwater and trying to fight your way out of a cage and not being able to breathe, if he had failed and said, "I give up," he would have been out of the program. For 8 years, he did this. In August of 2009, he was visited by that very supportive elementary school teacher, Miss Young, who told him she had waited 30 years for this moment and pulled out of her purse the picture he had drawn of him he had turned in as his "What I Want to Be When I Grow Up" assignment. She had posted it in the classroom, and then she had kept it. Because on August 28th, 2009, his dream was fulfilled as mission specialist on STS-128, the NASA space shuttle flight to the International Space Station, where he stayed until his return on September 11, 2009. He was the first migrant farm worker to go into space. A seemingly impossible dream, all accomplished because of the enthusiasm he had that fueled his faith and belief. Just an ordinary, down-to-earth guy living in an out-of-this-world life. This past September, Amazon released a movie about his journey entitled "A Million Miles Away." So the fulfillment of our legend begins with enthusiasm, and it continues by using wisdom to read the signs along our path. Which way should I go? Should I stop? Should I go? Courage to sustain us through the adversity, faith in our dreams, and in life itself. What Coelho writes about is what Charles Fillmore was trying to help us with when he wrote about the 12 powers. Who are we? What are our inherent attributes? Wherever God is, we are, because God is here. Realizing those powers is at the heart of alchemy. If we don't realize who we are, we can't truly transform. Once you know you have those attributes to empower you through those moments when you think you can't go on, you are a force to be reckoned with. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and I always love this about them, they didn't set out to form a movement or found a church. I believe at the most what they wanted to do was just follow in the path of Jesus and teach to others what they were realizing about themselves and about the truth of existence. Just ordinary people sharing eternal truth. Charles wanted to understand what attributes Jesus surrounded himself with, so he looked to the 12 disciples that Jesus had chosen. What were their main strengths? Because after all, aren't we always told you are your friends? So that was the reflection of Jesus. And from that, Charles contemplated and developed this framework that unity refers to as the 12 powers. Understanding, wisdom, life, love, faith, release that we'll exercise today, strength, zeal, power, imagination, will, and order. In a little while, we'll begin a ritual that kickstarts the alchemy of the new year. The burning bowl, or rather this year, it's the dissolving bowl. I feel like one of those football games, now this year, it's the tostada bowl. It's the dissolving bowl this year. We're 21st century now, so I'm looking forward to how this is going to work. And we're going to do the white stone ceremony. The first part of this ritual is the recognition and shedding of those obstacles that stand in our way of our dreams, because we still have dreams. I do not care how old we get. We have dreams. We have things that are still possible. The release of all that does not serve us and our legend, our path. And in the second part is a word that comes to us, a reminder of the many ways in which the universe is conspiring to support us. In The Alchemist, a wise old man tells Santiago, the shepherd boy, that, quote, there is one great truth on this planet. Whoever you are or whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on earth. The soul of the world is nourished by people's happiness. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And before Santiago goes off across the desert to find his treasure at the pyramids, the old man says to him, don't forget that everything you deal with is just one thing. Sometimes we make too much of it. It's just one thing and nothing else. And don't forget the language of the omens, the signs. In order to find the treasure, you'll have to follow the signs. God's prepared a path for everyone to follow. You just have to read the signs that have been left for you. And above all, don't forget to follow your destiny to its conclusion, because that's where you might find a surprise ending. Those are my words, not Coelho's. And when Santiago meets the alchemist on the final leg of his journey to the pyramids, Santiago asks the alchemist if he's going to instruct him. And the alchemist says, no. You already know all you need to know. You already have it. I'm only going to point you in the direction of your treasure. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. You've got to find the treasure so that everything else that happened in life makes sense. And the alchemist goes on to say, there's only one way to learn. It's through action. Everything you need to know, you've learned through your journey. And he added that those who fail to find their treasure seek the treasure of their destiny without wanting actually to live the destiny. There are some of us at this point who might say, well, my legend is fulfilled. But I would suggest to you that living out our destiny continues in ways we might not realize. Whenever we share who we are, our alchemy, our transformation in life, it fuels others' legends. It tells them things are possible. It's not the destination that expresses who we are. It's the journey. It's the alchemy, that seemingly magical process of transformation and creation that occurs while on our journey that makes it all worthwhile. We're just ordinary people living extraordinary lives. So in this new year, know the power that you are and use it.